Mr. Chairman, and thank all of you all for being here today. The RPM Act, as I mentioned in my opening statement, this is the second hearing that over the last several years that we've had on something that to me seems like a simple, very common sense fix to we're saying that it's a problem, it's a solution in search of a problem, but we spent a lot of time trying to fix this problem. And there is a problem there. Mr. Brown, you've testified to that. And Mr. Walk has acknowledged that we need to have a fix here. So I guess my question to you, Mr. Brown, because you've been really explicit about talking about your youth and the STEM education, and you have your wonderful family there that's involved in racing, and I imagine that most of your audience are families that come out on an evening onto an affordable way to enjoy being with their families and watching a great sport. But if a looming EPA lawsuit is looking over you, and you said you just created your new team, what kind of reaction do you have that as a small business owner? How would you ever be able to fight that?
That's the hard thing, and I agree with Mr. Walt on the purpose that speaking as a racer, that when I'm looking at the things from their standpoints, like, we are all against people with defeat devices. But the thing about it is that you don't have to come after the racers or the race teams, but if you go after legitimate companies that are producing race parts and they don't have the power to sustain, and you shut those small companies down, then it hurts the whole motorsports industry as a whole, because those companies were supplying legitimate race products to the racing industry. So I do agree that they should also have a deal of sale where they actually have a record of sale where they go, hey, this is what this part's for, this is where it goes at, and this is what it's used for. And if they have that categorized, that might help the solution to the problem. You follow me? So for me in general, it's like, it was like mind shocking, because like, hold up. Like, and you're seeing where our sport and where our I live in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I came from New Jersey. And the reason why I moved there was because this was the race capital of the world. And then when you see things that comes down from the EPA, it actually puts a stronghold on that, where you can see it dissipating, going away from the outside in.
Right.
And as being a racer, we'll be the last ones affected by it when we don't have no parts and pieces to buy.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, very good. Mr. VanderWal, we also heard that the cow tax proposal, and there's really no need for this legislation because it's taken care of every year in appropriations. Well, I'm on appropriations. I wouldn't be betting on what's going to happen every year in an appropriations process here in the United States Congress. I mean, we're heading up to a continuing resolution, which is not the way that this whole system was conceived. We should have our appropriations bills in line by September 30th, have them passed, and have our wishes move forward. So a year-by-year Band-Aid is not, I don't think, a solution to the issue that you're talking about. How do you all feel about the every year having to fight, and some years more than others? That's got to be an issue for you.
Well, thank you, Senator. It certainly is. That causes uncertainty when we have to wait every year in anticipation of something that might happen in a bill or something that EPA might do administratively. It would be far, far better to have this in statute by Congress that would say the EPA does not regulate agriculture based on greenhouse gas emissions, recognizing all the things we've talked about. It would provide certainty for us going forward. And people could really concentrate on innovation and technology and be able to work on those things rather than worrying about what the government might do in the next year, in the next round.
Well, I think you've stated the statistics that without something, as you're moving forward as an industry with the innovation and technology that's coming forward, you're able to bring your emissions down almost in a voluntary manner, because it's good for the environment, it's good for the farmer, it's good for the consumer. And so I think putting our emphasis in those positive areas is a much more beneficial way than in a punitive way, such as a cow tax would put forward. So thank you for coming. Thank all the whole panelists. Thank you.